Storytime about the guy who was obsessed with me. We're gonna call him Ryan. Well, Ryan had a crush on me for a long time. And one night, one of our friends asked me to go to a party with them. And Ryan was gonna be the DD. And everything was good. We were all having a great time at the party. Well, Ryan and I went off to one of the bathrooms. And we started making out. And while we're making out, he goes, "I really want to fuck you, but I can't." And I'm just like, "Why?" And he said it was because he couldn't get it up. And obviously he was embarrassed about it, which is understandable. So I left the bathroom and didn't plan on telling anybody about it. Until I walk over to a group of my guy friends, and they're telling me that apparently Ryan told everybody that we fucked. So at that point, I didn't give a fuck and I told them what actually happened. AKA that he couldn't get hard. And apparently he was mad at me after that, but I had no idea. So he said, "Do you still want me to take you home?" So I said, "Yeah." And now that he drove me home, he knew where I lived. And then I got a text from one of his friends, like for part 2. Part 2 about the guy who was obsessed with me. So like I said, as soon as I got dropped off, his friend Ella texted me. And she was like, "Oh, it was so wrong for you to say that he couldn't get it up," and a bunch of other nonsense. And I just brushed it off and I was like, whatever. So I went to sleep, and the next morning then I woke up. So my house had like a gate to get in and there were locks on it and all the locks were broke. And my stepdad also saw that he slashed my fucking tires. I ended up telling him everything that happened that night, and my stepdad's 32 and Ryan's 22. So they're only a 10-year difference. He basically gave me an option. He was like, either I can call the cops or I can go beat this kid's ass. I was like, okay, just call the cops. So we called the cops and they ended up catching him on the surveillance camera, like of him breaking the locks and slashing my tires and everything like that. So then they found him and arrested him. And let me get this straight. If he just wouldn't have lied about it, then it would have never came out that like he couldn't get it up. He just had to go and tell everybody that we fucked. Story time. My boyfriend found out that I had an OnlyFans. So my boyfriend and I have been together for probably 2 years. And I had just turned 18 and we decided that we were going to move in together. We both worked full-time jobs. I was a waitress, he worked at Walmart. And the restaurant that I worked at was literally a 2-minute walk from Walmart. And I was forced to get a job there by my boyfriend because he had super bad trust issues. I know you guys are going to be like, "Oh, well, I can see why." No. It was because of this rumor that went around right before we graduated that me and his best friend made out at a party. Child, anyways, back to the story. So then COVID hit. And it got to the point where him and I couldn't pay our bills or anything like that. So he got a job working for his uncle. And I went on unemployment, but it still wasn't helping. But my best friend was a stripper. And she told me that she had an OnlyFans account and that she was making really good money off of it. So since I was home every day doing absolutely nothing, I decided that I would make an OnlyFans account. And I didn't tell my boyfriend about it, like for part 2. Part 2 about how my boyfriend found out that I had an OnlyFans. So like I said, I made the OnlyFans and I didn't tell him about it. And I was only putting stuff on there like twice a week. But then my friend promoted me and I started making a lot more money. But then I started putting stuff on there every time that my boyfriend would go to work. So a month goes by and my boyfriend realizes that I have way more money than I did before. And he keeps asking me about it, but I tell him don't worry about it, which definitely seemed really sus. Anyways, the one day while he's at work, I'm taking some pics for my OF, and I'm blasting my music, and I turn around and lo and behold, who do you think was standing in the doorway? My boyfriend. And he has his phone out and he's recording me. So then he started explaining to me that because since I gave him such bad trust issues, and I wouldn't tell him where I was getting the extra money, he set up cameras in the house. And he's been watching me for 2 weeks straight. He's still recording on his phone at this time. So we broke up. And now there's a video of me half naked on YouTube and him exposing me.